You're listening to the Cryptic Crew Podcast. I'm your host, Mark Childers. Before we get started, if you've had an encounter or an experience or just something unexplained, click on the link tree in the description and share your encounter. Thank you for listening to the Cryptic Crew Podcast.
The scream went for 3-4 seconds, and I know that when you're out in the woods, if you encounter a predator or anything, the last thing that you want to do is run.
You knew you weren't alone. Something was there, and I can't explain that.
I've never in my life heard anything like what I heard that night.
On this episode of the Cryptic Crew Podcast, I would like to welcome outdoorsman and Floridian Nate Halverson. Nate, thank you for joining the show.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah, glad to have you on, and looking forward to this and some of your incredible stories you have. If you can, Nate, tell the listeners just a little bit about where you're from and some of your hobbies, I guess. I know you're an outdoorsman, or have been.
Oh, yeah, I used to always love the woods. The woods was all I did when I was young. I used to bow hunt for a boar. I used to go fishing, hiking a lot. I always felt the closest, to God and nature, just being out and enjoying all the beautiful sights of Central Florida. But with that comes a great price, because Florida is pretty wild, believe it or not. A lot of crazy stuff in Florida. You name it, and people have seen it or talked about it. One thing I've been researching is the lantern effect. And the lantern effect, it seems to always follow or prelude Bigfoot when you see him. For some reason, you'll see an orange orb or a blue orb. And it'll either be before you see him or after you see him. And it's really strange, because I've been trying to research and find out if they truly are interdimensional beings, if they really can slip away into another dimension. Because when you see them in the wild, you see them and then you don't see them. It's crazy. The minute they realize that you've seen them, it's not so much that they care about it. It's just that after a while, then they're gone. And you can be right there. I mean, your eyes locked on them, and then they just can disappear. I call them tree ninjas, really. I mean, they're there and then they're not. But anyway, I used to hike all the time, and that was one of my favorite pastimes. And me and my buddies, we always used to go out together. And one day we saw a bunch of pigs, and we started to get away from them, because you don't want to be near a wild boar. They're very aggressive in Florida. And we saw them at a distance, and we were just watching to see which way they were going, so we would go the other way. And that's when the animals started to get really skirmish, and they started squealing and snorting, and they were looking in the tree lines. And I thought maybe a bear or something was coming. And next thing I know, it was so fast, I can't even tell you the speed. It's like it wasn't there, and then all of a sudden it was there. And it was on top of one of those hogs before I could barely even blink and respond to what was even going on. And I grabbed it by the rear leg, and it broke its leg, and it turned around, and it swung the pig with all its weight and just slapped him into one of those water oaks that we have in Florida. And if you've never seen a water oak, that is a big tree.
Yes.
And it just slapped that pig. And I mean, his head just cracked open. I mean, you could hear all his bones shatter. The blood that came out of the hog's mouth, and even ears and eyes, everything. It was crazy. It swung it over its shoulder, and it looked at us briefly, and then it strolled off. It didn't even run, or, it didn't give a damn about us at all.
So how close were you to the encounter that you had?
Oh, man, the hogs were probably only 50 or 60 feet in front of us.
Okay. All right. Yeah, you were really close. At all,
man. Yeah, it was really close. That's what made it so scary.
So what the area you were in at the time when that happened, can you kind of describe it?
Yeah, I was always going out mostly to the Ocklawaha area, the Ocala National Forest. It's Central Florida. It's on the way to Daytona. And if you don't know, the Ocala National Forest is the second largest national forest in the United States.
Yes.
So it's a lot bigger than people think, yeah.
Large area, and there's a lot of activity that goes on in that area.
Oh, a lot of activity. The bears especially. Oh, the bears are out of control. We have black bears like you wouldn't believe, just everywhere. We had one that was terrifying. Me and my buddy, we named her Big Mama. And she was a big black bear, the biggest I've ever seen. We're talking about the size of a small car.
Oh, wow.
I mean, she was big. So I've never seen one that big. And they say they're only normally about 6 foot and 200 pounds or so. Well, she was pushing 5 or 6 probably.
Big.
And she was more like 7 feet. Yeah, she was big. But the scariest encounter was my first, and I was only 17. I was a junior in high school, and we had a sinkhole that was by us, and they named it Lake Ollie. Well, it never used to have a fence, and now it's all sealed off, you know. I think they even filled it with concrete, because some kids went missing. But me, my friend Jimmy, and Bobby, we were going down there, and it was like part of an initiation, you know. I was on the wrestling team, and they always wanted to take the new guys and, you know, try and scare them, you know, and tell them the stories or whatever. Well, the story goes that every now and then someone would disappear in that area, and they always linked it to Lake Ollie. Well, it turns out that there's an underground cavern system that goes down there, and if you look it up, Florida, Georgia, and Kentucky and Tennessee are just full of underground caverns.
Yeah.
You might even have them there in Alabama even. They run all through the South like that. And I never believed any of the stories, you know. I was like, oh, whatever, you know. Until you see it, you know, you have to see it or hear it for yourself, you know. So I had some rope with me, and we decided to rappel down. We had flashlights, but, you know, back then they weren't that good. You know, we're talking about the 90s, yeah. I mean, little tiny crappy flashlights. Yeah. So we go down there, and it was so dark. I mean, so dark. And we could hear water dripping all the time. Bloop, bloop, you know, just dripping. And that was the only sound we heard, and everything was fine for a minute. But as we started to slowly descend, we started to hear like a heavy breathing. And we weren't sure if it was us or what was going on. So I looked at the other 2 guys, and I was like, you know, don't breathe. Don't, you know, let's see what's going on. And we all stopped, and we listened, and sure enough, I think we disturbed something sleeping, is what I honestly think. And man, that thing let out a roar. The roar was just deafening. It was so loud. It sounded like an Air Force jet just peeling off the runway. I mean, the roar was just incredible. It rose, and then it got really deep and low. It's hard to explain. The initial part is very high pitched, and then it goes to the deep bass. And that, oh man, their lungs must be massive, because, I mean, it was a scream. I thought it was never going to end. And that's when we saw the eyes. Now, we had little crappy flashlights. I doubt it was enough to make an eye shine, but apparently it was. And they were like orange and reddish. It was hard to explain. The color was, in between that spectrum. But they looked so human. That was the scary thing, is they didn't even look like animal eyes. You could see the intelligence. You could tell that there was, you know what I mean? Wheels were turning. You could tell the thing was smart. And I don't know if it lunged at us because it was so dark, but after the roar, that was enough for me. And it was enough for Jimmy and Bobby, too. And we all turned around and beat each other up trying to get out of this place. So we finally made it to the rope. And as they were climbing out, I don't know why, they just shoved me out of the way. I was the last one to climb out. And as I was climbing out, I could hear it getting closer. You could hear some water splashing, and I could hear the footsteps. And that's when I was really motivated to get out of the hole, man. And, that was my very first encounter.
What time of year? I'm sorry, Nate. What time of year did that happen in?
Oh, well, we were about halfway through the school season. So I don't know. It was probably close to winter time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably close to winter.
Have you ever heard anything like that before, prior to that?
No, not prior to that. And at first, I didn't even know what I had heard. Now, remember, this was the very first time, so until you hear it, you'll never understand it. I mean, you feel it in your lungs. Your body reacts something crazy. You get like headaches, you get like nauseous. Your hair stands up, you get goosebumps. I mean, your soul screams you're in danger. Right. I mean, I can't even reiterate enough how scary it is just to hear them. Not even to see them, just to hear them. And the second time was really interesting. We all were going out, and we decided we were going fishing. So we wanted to go out to the river. And this is when I discovered that they love the water. They also love to fish. And we were coming up on them, and we were walking up the river, and we were fishing and throwing out lines, and we kept moving. We didn't want to stay in one spot because the fish tend to move, and they figure out what you're doing after a while. So we kept moving up the river, and I thought, well, it was another fisherman at first because it was all squatted down low by the river, and it was holding the stick. And I didn't realize it, but it was trying to spear the fish, standing there with the stick. And we were watching it for a good 5 minutes, me and my buddy. And it didn't notice us. And it just kept, and finally it got one. But when it stood up, oh man, when it stood up, I realized just how big the thing was. It was incredible. It must have been at least 8 or 9 feet tall. It was jet black hair. The hands were absolutely massive. I mean, the fingers must have been 7, 8, 9 inches long. I mean, they were just incredibly huge hands. And it looked at us, and it took a few steps towards us, and it kind of made this grumbling roar, not like a scream like the other time. And I guess it wanted our fish too. Me and my buddy looked at, and we just threw the line with the fish over there, and sure enough, it ran over and grabbed it. It looked at us one more time, and then it peeled off into the woods. Wow. And their skin colors, it's hard to explain. Their skin color is it's like a light gray. And their hair is really long. Oh, man, 6, 7 inches, really long. The one we saw was jet black. I mean, black.
Did you get much detail of the face?
Well, their teeth look like ours. The nose is really broad. I mean, incredibly broad. Their eyes, they're really deep set. Like they're way behind, you see me and you, our eyes are here, but theirs are like really deep in the skull. They have a very conical shaped head, and the forehead comes to a thick brow, really thick bone ridge right above their eyes. Yeah, we got a good look at it. I mean, it was, well, like I said, we were pretty close.
Right. That length of an encounter, that's something that doesn't happen often. So that's why, I'd asked you that. And that's pretty insane that y'all were able to, be able to get that close to one and see that and get that,
well, honestly,
get that kind of detail.
We were downwind, first of all. That was our big blessing, was that. It didn't notice us until, probably 10 minutes into it before it even realized that we were there. That we weren't making any noise, and we were just simply watching. That's all.
Well, and what was your first thought when you saw it, or y'all both realized what you had seen?
What are we really seeing? You know what I mean? Because I grew up playing in the woods all my life. So to see something of that magnitude for the first time, it's really mind-blowing because your mind doesn't, it's trying to comprehend what it's seen. You're almost in shock, really. And then once you come to the realization, oh my God, what we just saw, luckily it was over with, luckily it just wanted to fish and ran off. But.
Do you think the grunt or the growl it made was trying to be trying to intimidate you guys to get out of there, maybe?
I wouldn't necessarily say it was threatening. It was almost like a greeting. Hey, I'm here. Don't get any closer. It was just letting us know, hey, I see you, don't. It didn't seem like it was going to come over and beat us to death or anything, But it wanted the fish, though. It did. It wanted the fish. Because when it grunted, it looked at the fish, and it was pointing at our fish. So it wanted our fish, and we gave it to it, by God. We weren't going to, we weren't going to tell the thing no.
All right. Was this in the Ocala National Forest as well, or close to it?
No, this was more towards Ocala with the Ocklawaha River and the Withlacoochee River.
Okay.
I've noticed that river areas and lakes are really popular with them. I've seen many in my years hiking and fishing, mostly all at a great distance, but a few times I got to see them close. But yeah, they tend to follow the waterway. One of the researchers believes that that's how they map and navigate, is by the bodies of water.
I've
and
heard
honestly,
that as well.
That makes sense.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really does. Travel routes or, food routes. Plenty of food's going to be by the water. And their diet, I'm assuming, of fish, and then like you had talked about, wild hogs or deer as well.
Oh, they're omnivore. They're omnivore just like us.
Yeah.
They sure are. They're opportunistic, whatever's around. You got to realize how big they are, so that they have quite an appetite, and they got to eat, so it's not like they're just going to eat a little bit. They got to eat, so.
Absolutely.
But the craziest part for me was when we lived in Bellevue and Summerfield area in Central Florida. My mom had married a pastor, and he had a farm. And it was just a nice little farm. It was nothing enormous, It was about 5 or 6 acres. They had miniature goats. They raised cattle, just 2 or 3 cattle, nothing big. Had a few pigs, chickens, quail, stuff like that. But we had a lot of fruit trees. My stepfather was obsessed with that. So we had tangerines, oranges, grapefruit. We even had a fig tree. And we always noticed that when it was harvest time, all the fruit would always be missing at the tops of the trees. Never low like deer. You always know when it's deer because the deer get the low stuff. But when all the top fruit started to disappear, my stepdad was completely confused. He's like, what on earth is so tall and getting the fruit at the top of the tree? Because I know the tree is producing fruit. And he made a joke. I know there's not a giraffe out here. And I laughed and I said, no, I'm sure it's not a giraffe, Dad. I don't know. And we never really saw it take any fruit, but it would always go missing at the tops of the trees. But occasionally stuff did start to go missing. But when stuff started to go missing, it's really funny because there would always be something left behind. Little wood figures, tied and glued together with like tree sap and vines. Sometimes a shiny rock from the river. One time it even found a marble, I guess, and left me a marble. And, it's called gifting. So it's a common process that if they take something, they try and leave something behind.
Yes.
And that also proves their intelligence.
Yes, that's what I was about to say. You took the words out of my mouth. That's some type of intelligence of some kind, and I've heard people leaving stuff for them, and then there's something else there in return, on a stump or on a tree, fallen tree or something, and that's it's very interesting.
And a lot of times, this is when I learned that they make structures. It's really weird. They always do these geometric shapes. They're big into arches. They're big into Ys, X's, triangles. It's really bizarre. And you always know that you're in an area when they're there. You just have to look at the trees. That's all you have to do. If everything looks normal, then they're probably not there. But if you see trees that are starting to, you can tell that they're wrapped together. They spend a lot of time doing it. I've seen some intricate patterns too, but they're always geometric. It's really strange.
What do you think?
So I've always wondered why,
Right. That's what I was about to ask you. What do you think they are? Or are they a marker for traveling? Are they territorial? It's hard to say.
Honestly, it could be anything. Yeah, who's to say? I'm no research expert or anything, but it could be portals. It could be landmarkers, like you said. Who knows? But the geometric patterns and the detail and the time that they spend making this stuff. One time, I found a fishing basket woven. It was the most incredible thing. All the sticks, and it had little vines, and the vines were woven all in between the sticks. And it was a basket with a little funnel for fish to go into, and then they'd be trapped, and then they couldn't get back out. And I found it out there by the creek, and I was just in awe. I was just looking at it like, look at the detail of this. And I kept looking for people, and I never saw anybody. But we did find a couple of prints on the bank. And they were big. Oh, man, they were big. My boot is a size 11 boot, and I could put 2 of my boots inside this thing.
Right. So did they look like a human print, or just too wide and too deep, or slightly different?
They really do look like human prints in a sense. The heel is very deep. The toes are really long. That's when you know that you're seeing one. They're way longer than our toes. But the toe markings were kind of dug in the mud, like an ape. When an ape walks, its feet dig into the ground. So they're definitely part of the ape family. But I heard a crazy researcher say that some boys from Georgia got lucky and wounded one, and they got her a hair sample and a blood sample. And when the DNA came back, this was the crazy thing. She said it was 50% human, 25% ape, and 25% bear. Now, that's a hell of a mix, if you ask me.
That's interesting. Yes, I would have never imagined that. I'm curious to know what that particular animal looked like,
The boys in Georgia said it was reddish brown, and they describe it just like, I do, or anyone that ever sees one, They're 7 to 9 feet, they're big, they're broad, they're muscular. Anyway, they said they were all drinking by a campfire, and they were cooking food. And that's the mistake. See, when you go in the woods, I would eat before I would go. Never would you see me out there cooking food in the woods, because it attracts all the predators. Anything that's hungry is coming because it smells it. Yeah. And they were cooking, and they said that thing just started to throw stuff at them. And when it lunged at them, you know what I mean? They went and got their guns, and after it had grabbed, what it wanted off the fire and ran, they managed to hit it. They all started shooting, and they got the blood sample, and that's crazy.
Yeah, that is pretty crazy. Let me go back, Nate. Let me go back to where your stepdad, the pastor, when you guys were farming. Did he ever have any kind of idea of what he thought was getting the fruit off the top of the trees?
Honestly, he was dumbfounded, because these trees are 10, 11, 12 feet in the air and shy of a ladder. You know what I mean?
Right. So typical grapefruit or orange tree size.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tall.
Did he ever?
We couldn't figure it out.
Did he ever mention to you anything about a skunk ape or Bigfoot?
He did say that he noticed a lot of indentations in the ground, like something was nesting. And he showed me one time behind the house. It was an old one. You could tell it hadn't been used in a while. But it was scary to me, because it was right behind my mom's bedroom where they slept. Probably 20 feet from their bedroom window in the wood line, just far up past the house. It was right there.
Oh, that's insane.
And it looked massive. I'll be honest with you. It looked like a Brahma bull or something was laying in there. It was really big, and it was wide and heavy. Whatever was laying in there was big.
Right.
That's for sure.
Was there any bear activity in that area?
Honestly, no. I only saw one bear in all the years out there on the farm. Bears weren't that common. More coyotes than bears. But, a lot of the farmers would defend themselves, obviously, and, they'd shoot and kill, whatever. But, we never saw many bears, mostly just coyotes. So that's why the fruit thing was such a mystery.
Yeah.
Because it was all at the top,
right,
the very peak of the tree. And that's really where the best fruit starts to grow. from the top, and then the fruit spreads out. So the sweetest and the best of all your fruit is always going to be at the top.
Yeah, one of the probably one of my favorite episodes off of Finding Bigfoot. I don't know what year it would have been, maybe 2012, 2011, was an episode in Vermont where a gentleman had fruit. I believe it was pears, possibly. The fruit was being taken from up above, not ground level or not the lower limbs, but higher up. It wasn't a deer. And they had he set up a game camera, and it showed to me what looked like a large bipedal creature bending over with a conical shaped head, getting fruit off the ground. And, by what you're saying too, that could very well be the same culprit. I guess.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, they love fruit just like any other animal, and human for that matter. So
right.
Fruit's a common thing, but see, the thing is for fruit, they actually have to get close to humans. And that's the danger, you know what I mean? That's why they're so cautious, and that's why when you hear of encounters, it's always by surprise. Someone's outside just doing, here and there work around the house and the farm or whatever, and all of a sudden you see it. Well, you surprise it, and it surprises you,
Yes, yeah. Well, there's so much activity in Central Florida and all the way to the Panhandle. It's just so much water, so much coverage and tons of food for something like that to exist and flourish,
Well, it's very dense. Florida's forest is very dense. You can step into it and disappear, in seconds. I mean, it'll just swallow you whole. And we have those palm fronds that are everywhere, and it blends in, and everything gets so thick that after a while, it's like a wall of vegetation,
Right.
You don't know anything's there until you see it.
I did a little bit of, we went through Ocala National Forest, coming back home, maybe 6 months ago. And
it's massive.
It is.
For miles and miles. Oh.
I got some, had to get some B-roll footage, for some videos and went in and recorded some. And it's just, like you said, it's just so dense and something could easily hide, and never be seen and not that far off the roadway.
Oh, yeah. We're talking 5-10 feet gone. Yeah. It's so thick.
Very thick. And it's funny you said that. I did see one tree bend. Now, I'm not going to say it was a Sasquatch because I didn't see it happen, of course, but or any other evidence. But it was unusual. There were no other tree bends around that particular tree. And
was it shaped like a doorway?
It was. Yeah.
It was arch
shaped. Yeah.
Yeah. They're big into that one. That's the biggest shape I've seen yet of all of them. Yeah. Is that arch shape and the triangle. It's crazy.
Yeah. I got a little bit.
I don't know.
No, go ahead, Nate.
I wondered what it means, what the geometry of it, like why the shapes. It's just puzzling to me. Like I've never.
Yeah, I think some of it. I mentioned markers earlier. I think some of it might be around game trails. Possibly. I don't know if that's a place to hunt. It's hard to say. Because it can be erratic. It could be game trails, could be a travel route or something. I don't know. What? Let me ask you this, Nate. What? Go ahead. Then I got a question I want to ask you.
Oh, I was just going to answer you. Honestly, it normally is by game trails. As far as me hiking, and whenever I would see something like that, it was always near water or game trails. To be quite honest with you, so it might be a type of mapping. But my question is the shapes though. And they vary. See, that's the thing. They're never the same. They're almost unique.
Yeah. Yeah, some of those, some of them are no doubt. They had to be done with something with a thumb.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, especially the ones that look like maybe teepees or maybe just kind of odd shaped or trees or limbs that are put together. And it's not, some of them are not necessarily a place for shelter, like, say, a Boy Scouts or somebody doing
Yeah.
a trip or something would go out and do. They're just gathered together, and they're different shapes, like you said, and it's not a flood wash where something, you had so much rain it washes down into that type of structure. That just, what I've seen is just not like that.
Well, some people say the wind, and I'm like, come on, dude, the wind's not going to weave stuff together in shapes and designs,
Right.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It really is. It just makes you scratch your head and just wonder, So that's what I was going to ask you. What do you think they are? Are they something that's an undiscovered primate? And I know you had mentioned, I'm going to call it the woo factor. That you mentioned a portal earlier. So what camp are you in as far as, or just still undecided?
Honestly, I believe they can cloak themselves. And honestly, the dimension thing seems feasible because the way they can disappear is incredible. I mean, the one by the river that wanted our fish, me and my friend Jerry, we eyes locked. I mean, we're looking at this thing good. And after it grabbed the fish and it stepped into the wood line, I mean, it was just gone. It was just gone. So I'm kind of in agreement with that they can slip into a dimension or cloak themselves.
Yeah, I believe they can. I use the term camouflage or not necessarily cloak. Of course, some amphibians and stuff like that camouflage, that's a known fact. But they blend in so well, but also, how do you explain you have tracks and then all of a sudden the tracks, there's no other track.
Yeah, the tracks just vanish.
And there's some footage I've seen where it's not. I don't see how it was hoaxed. And I'm not saying I'm the smartest person in the world, but there's no other tracks around it, and nothing in the snow, for example. You've got tracks that are in front of each other, not like a human where they're side by side, and typically, most people have, I guess, let me say historically, I guess, people say the trackways that they produce are more straight, in a line. And so, humans don't walk that way. And so I
saw the prints in the mud at the riverside, they were probably 5.5 to 6 feet apart.
Oh, wow.
And they were in a direct straight line. Yeah.
Yeah.
They weren't off at an angle. They were literally perfectly straight. Boom, boom, boom. And it was incredible to me. I had to jump from footprint to footprint. I mean, the stride is just incredible. Yeah.
Well, that tells you
they can cover so much ground because they're so big.
That tells you it's a massive creature,
Oh, for sure. They're so big. Every one I've seen has been 8 or 9 feet easy. Yeah. I mean,
right.
they're so broad. God, the girth. Oh, their chest and shoulders must be 5 feet wide or more. Just the power is just, you can see the muscles. The one by the river that pointed at our fish, when it pointed, you could see the ripples in its forearms, its bicep, its shoulders, its chest. I mean, the hair is long, but you can really see how powerful they are.
Well, you just verify what the gentleman I had on the previous episode, his name is Todd Neese. He's from the Pacific Northwest, and he had an encounter during a military maneuver exercise in Oregon, and he saw 3, not one, but 3 individuals, and that's exactly how he described it, or described them was, he said, Mark, they look like bodybuilders.
Oh,
and
incredible.
He said the chest was barrel chested, but it tapered down to the waist.
Yeah, like they were in good shape. You hear me? Like a lean athlete. Yeah.
Yeah.
Their physique is incredible.
Yeah, that is amazing. And he talked about the length of the arms. Did you notice that as well on any of your sightings?
Honestly, their arms come to either above the knee or slightly below the knee. But yeah, their arms are really long.
Were they hunched, standing, or straight up, or did it vary?
The ones I've seen, they kind of lean forward. They're walking like us, but they're not. The way they walk, their feet kick up really high. when they're in a stride, their heel like comes up almost and smacks them in the butt. It's really crazy how they walk. I don't know whether it's a weight distribution tactic or if they're trying to not trip over something, or I'm not sure why they do it. But yeah, I've never seen them stand up and be straight. Normally they're always hunched, but I don't know why that is either. I mean, well, they're so massive. I mean, I imagine all that weight and muscle. I mean, because their shoulders are like bowling balls. I mean, they're incredibly massive. I can't express to anyone just how big they truly are until you see one. I mean, they are big.
Are you familiar with the Patterson-Gimlin film?
Yeah, I've seen that many times, especially as a kid. That used to fascinate me. I'm 51, and I used to watch Nature of Omaha, The Wild Kingdoms, way before Animal Planet. And they always talked about Washington and Oregon. And it's funny that you mentioned that, because in that part of the country, Washington and Oregon have a lot of sightings. That's like 10,000 a year, I think they said. Yeah, a lot.
Right. I don't know the count, but that's where Todd had his, sighting of the gentleman I was telling you about. And the gate's just different especially on that footage. They've tried to recreate that and mimic that walk or that particular footage, and you just can't do it. It's like you said, the foot comes up almost 90 degrees.
Yeah, it's crazy how high it comes up.
So it's that's something you've had some pretty incredible.
That Patterson-Gimlin, though, she was big. I mean, she was enormous. I remember seeing that video. She was big.
Yeah, if
she looked like she weighed well over 1,000 pounds. I mean, she was a monster.
If you really study that film, and I've looked at it quite a bit, you can see muscle in the thighs and in the calf as well when she walks.
Oh yeah, when it was walking, right. You can see it. You can see the muscles shift.
Yes.
And that's what gives away a costume.
Absolutely.
That's what gives it away. And I always tell people, just look at the structure of the animal, and you can tell. Because you'll see the muscles move, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. Bill Munn he did a in-depth research on that film, and he was in Hollywood at some point, and I don't know if he did costume design or what, but he studied that particular film, like I said, and he said they did not have that technology in the 60s or 70s, for that matter, to make it look like that.
Yeah, and you got to understand when this was done. This was done by two guys on horseback that were woods explorers back in the late 60s, early 70s, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you said, there's no way they could have done that back then, you know?
And Bob Gimlin has never, every interview I've ever heard with him, he's never changed his story. And I would love to meet him. That would be pretty awesome. But, he's never changed his story on that. And that's.
I did get to see him on a podcast.
Oh, did you really?
That was cool. Yeah, he's still alive, and I did see him on a podcast, and he was telling the stories, and it was pretty neat.
That's really neat.
He said the way the horses responded, he said that's what got his attention, because they were riding horseback, and the horses started getting really nervous and staying close together, and the horses weren't getting apart. They were they were right next to each other. And he said they kept getting skittish and they kept looking. And by the time that their human eyes could see, the horses were ready to run. You know what I mean? Yeah, the horses were ready to get out of there.
Yeah, that's insane.
There's some kind of reaction to animals and Bigfoot. There's something about that cryptid that makes everything scared. My stepdad had a badass farm dog, on the farm. I'm talking about this thing would face down anything. But when we did see it that one morning, it was 9:30 in the morning, and I took the dog out, and my stepdad would always come out and check the farm. He'd feed the chickens and the quail and stuff. And it was 9:30 in the morning. It was springtime, a beautiful day out. We stepped out the house, and the dog went to run off like he does, and all of a sudden he turns around and he runs back. And I'm like, what's the matter? And he runs right by me and goes right back into the house. And he would not come back out. And I was like, man, what is going on? And we come around the corner of the house and looked, and lo and behold, that giant Oh man, I called him Alpha. He was immense, man. God, he was big. He must have been 9-10 feet tall. He was just as broad as anything. And he had an armful of walnuts. And we had a walnut and hickory tree on the other side of the property. Yeah, it had an armful of nuts, and it looked at us, and it didn't even care. And it just kept strolling. And it's amazing the ground they can cover. My God. With their strides, it's astounding. I'm talking about they can cover a football field in no time. I mean, it's absolutely astounding. But yeah, I mean, it was pretty incredible.
Yeah.
And once again, that one was pitch black too. Like I told you, some people claim they see red ones, but yeah, all the ones I've ever seen have been just jet black.
Jet black. Yeah. Todd described it the same way. They were dark. They were black from head to foot. He said it actually. Yeah. Well, you've seen silverback gorillas on documentaries or shows. How quick they are and how much ground they can cover as well.
Oh yeah, the speed. Yeah,
sure.
The speed's just incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, they're on you before you even know it.
Right.
You'd never outrun one. Oh Lord, no, you'd never outrun one.
No, I've seen footage.
You could be a track star, buddy, and that thing would run you down, bro.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. You're not going to outpace something like that.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, I saw footage. It's been several years ago of one going through a field behind someone's house, and there was no way that was a person in a costume. It was it moved too fluid and too fast, and it was just incredible.
They're very smooth. Yeah, their motion is very smooth and fluent.
Yes.
You're right. They're very graceful. They're not a clumsy animal at all. And you'd think they would be a little bit being that huge, but really they're not. Yeah, they're very smooth and graceful.
Right. Well, Nate, I have really enjoyed this conversation.
Yeah, anytime, man. Yeah. Like I said, I've seen so many things, man. So anytime you want to have me on, we'll chat it up together.
Yeah, we'll do an episode 2 sometime down the road for sure.
Oh, yeah. Anytime, man. Just let me know.
Yeah, we'll do. And usually at the end of each episode, I'll do a rapid-fire Q&A. I'll shoot the guests 3 questions. It's real casual, and it's the first thing that comes to mind.
Okay.
You ready?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. First question. Favorite college or NFL team?
Michigan Wolverines.
Okay.
That's where I was born. Yeah.
Michigan fan. All right. Were you a Jim Harbaugh fan?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And Tom Brady. Tom Brady came out of Michigan.
Yes.
He's one of my all-time favorites.
Yeah. Yeah, probably one of the best, if not the best, football players to ever play in the NFL.
Oh, for sure.
All right. Number 2, favorite movie.
Favorite movie. Honestly, it's called Exist, and it's one of the greatest Bigfoot movies ever made.
Is it really? I don't know if I've ever heard of that. Okay.
Oh, you have to see it. It's called Exist. Oh, it's absolutely amazing. My second favorite would probably be Grizzly Rage. Oh, man, they accidentally hit a baby bear driving a Jeep through the woods, and that mama grizzly hunts them all down, dude. Oh, man, amazing movie.
Yeah, I'm going to have to check those 2 out then. Grizzly Rage and Exist.
Yeah, Exist is amazing. You'll love that. Great movie.
I'll check that out. All right, last one. Favorite hobby?
Oh, for sure, hiking.
Hiking, yeah.
Yeah, I love to hike.
Yeah. What's your favorite time of year to hike?
Probably fall.
Yeah, that's my favorite time of year as well.
I don't like it too hot. Yeah, I don't like it too hot, and I don't like it freezing either. So yeah, probably fall time.
Yeah, fall's good. Really is. Well, Nate, thank you again for taking your time out to come on the show, and we'll definitely do a number 2.
Oh, you're welcome. I had fun, man. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, I did as well. And for the listeners, if you've had an encounter or an experience, shoot us an email with your contact information at the Cryptid Crew Podcast at gmail.com, or click on the link tree in the description and share your encounter. Thank you for listening, and God bless.